Hey everybody, welcome to UGASports Live. My name is Rodney DeBolsey. I'm joined by former Georgia Bulldogs head coach Jim Donnan. He is going to be taking your questions for most of the show. And I have a lot of questions too, but I know I can be very greedy and take up most coaches' time and ask them all the questions, but we want you to have that opportunity. So on our Facebook page, I put up a note saying, hey, what can we ask or what can we answer for you? And we had a ton of questions come in, and I think they match. There are a lot of people doing it. Coach, the preseason poll came out. The AP, Georgia was ranked third behind Ohio State and Oregon. Not 6 of the top 11 teams, 9 of the top 25 are SEC teams, although not one SEC team received a first place vote. I just thought that was kind of interesting. They respect the SEC and, put 11 teams in the top 25, but they don't expect any of them to actually be there at the end playing for the national title, or at least they don't think any of them is the number one team in the country right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, one of the first things that strikes me is the 9 straight years that Kirby's team's been picked in the top 5. I mean, that's incredible consistency, and it shows you what the brand means around the country. As far as the other teams, I think it's really good that we've got that many teams in the top 11 or 12. Just shows you how good this league is. But you got to look at the fact that Big Ten's won the last 3, and certainly Oregon and Ohio State need to be right there. We'll have to see. I mean, we talked about it till you almost sick at your stomach about these preseason polls. I wish you'd wait till October. Really, it's all based on who you got coming back, and now with it's so hard to pick with all the new squads, looking at all the new players at LSU and different teams around the country. Ole Miss has reloaded a lot of new guys. And so the thing that really struck me the most significant about it is for the first time since a long time, Clemson's not even picked in the top 25. And, I didn't think that was ever happen again in my lifetime with the program they built. And they just got a lot of question marks, and they're going to be really, really kind of something I'm going to watch closely how Chad Morris does coming back as the offensive coordinator. I don't feel good about it, but I hope for Dabo's sake, who I really like, I hope he does well. I just think that that's a real reach in my opinion, and Allen too, the other guy, I don't really think that's awesome a coach. So, but we're not talking about the ACC much, except can Miami finally win the league?
That's a good point.
Been trying to forever, but the way I look at it, Miami going to win the ACC. BYU and Texas Tech will fight it out in the Big 8, the Big 12. Ohio State and Oregon probably play for the championship in the Big 10, and Georgia, and I'm not going to say who that other one's going to be yet, but I really feel like Georgia will be there. The thing that worries me about the polls and everything else is our 9-game schedule. Going to be hard to, for our teams to get that many in there, because you're going to have that many more losses. So, but boy, that's a good question. Started out, but really exciting to be in that position where your team's picked and you got that kind of level of consistency. I think Nick, starting in like 2011 or something like that, or they were like 17 straight years right up there. So that's the other thing. Alabama not in the top 10. I mean, and I can see why. I mean, a lot of different things that they got to put together on their team. So, but this is more Georgia oriented. So let's roll.
Yeah, I think from the Georgia standpoint, they had a scrimmage, everyone freaked out, and we've always said, look, the first scrimmage is not anything to freak out about. The second scrimmage is nothing to freak out about. And we talk about that ad nauseum, so I don't want to dive into that. Rusty and Jake did a good job kind of breaking that down.
But freak out. I don't read these things. What do you mean freak out? What do they do?
No, just it's been this way since you were here and we had the dog vent. If the offense did well, then the defense is terrible. If the defense does well, then the offense is terrible. It's always,
Let me just point this out to you, Roddy, and everybody's listening. Get your pen and pencil and write it down and go out and put it in concrete. Scrimmage first of all, you take the ball on the 35-yard line every possession. How many teams go 65 yards that you watch in the course of a season? Not many. Not many. Plus, the defense that we go against in practice runs a defense that 65% of the time we never see in a game. We don't see press coverage. We see off coverage because everybody's putting people in the box to stop the run. We see press coverage like 33% of the time. Our defense plays 66. So people say, hey, well, we're not getting separation, all that. You know, a guy was asking me about that. I don't know if that's on the site or not, but the reality is the coaches are trying to evaluate players and not trying to win the ball game. They're not trying to – they certainly want to make first downs and do all that. But situationally, then they get into the last part of practice where they do red zone and they do all the different things that have to happen. 2-minute offense, third down. But the reality is a game is, set up based on the kicking game. So we get a good punt and down the ball on the 1. They don't go out there and take the ball on the 1-yard line. That team goes back to the 35. You get a good punt return and the ball on the 25-yard line of the other team. They don't get the ball there. They got to go back to the 35. And I like that because you're challenging the offense all the time and making them make plays. You go 3 plays, you don't do something, you punt. You got to practice the punting. So I know a lot of people don't agree with me and think I'm old and need to be in the rest home and all that stuff. But I will tell you, if you're freaking out over Georgia's scrimmage, you need to chill, baby. Chill, baby, chill. Because this team just got picked in the top 5 in the country. And this old coach thinks that that's low. I think we should be picked higher. So get you a couple beers, go out there and have a good time and watch the Dogs kick some big time ass this year. I'm not worried about what we don't have. I know what we got.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe Ohio State might not take our roster, but I don't see anybody else 1 through 44 that would not take our roster in a New York minute.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, I mean, people want to talk about the scrimmage, but I'm like, look, the rest of the nation, the AP voters just put Georgia number 3, ahead of Texas, ahead of everybody else. The only 2 teams they put ahead of them were, like you said, Ohio State, which we know is pretty damn strong, and Oregon, which again, that is good company to be in.
Yeah,
and
great. The other thing,
Coach, you covered up your mic.
We got 125 players.
Yeah.
Okay, about 75 of those are not even going to play, but they get as many reps in a scrimmage as the 45 that play. So a lot of the stuff that happens, drop passes, missed tackles, all that's people that aren't even going to be on our team as far as playing the real games. So I'm not taking the side of the coaches here. I'm just telling you that I would like for everybody to be hunky-dory and feel pretty good. We got some issues. Yeah, we got some young receivers and we got some guys that got to come surface and all that. But, boy, you just look at our roster and you look at our players, and hopefully we can go over that today instead of me getting on.
Well, that's what I was going to lead to.
Yeah, let's talk about.
I didn't mean to get you all worked up about the scrimmage.
I'm not trying to work. I'm just trying to relieve some of these people. Yeah. You don't need any worry about indigestion and all that stuff. Hey, this team right now, and I feel, and of course I've been wrong about teams before. I mean, I was wrong about my team in 2000. I really thought we were going to be really good, but we had a lot of things happen, and that could happen to our team. You get a couple injuries, and you get things don't go right, and before you know it, kind of snowballs. But boy, I'm looking forward to covering this team, and I think we really got some exciting players and got some really good kids, which you can't win with bums. We got good kids.
And that's actually what I was headed towards was, okay, the media gives Georgia, they say they're number 3. And normally I'd be like, oh, that's too high, that's too low. I don't get too far into it. But when you pointed out a while back, look at their top 44. And yeah, Georgia didn't go hard in the portal, but they kept their best players. You still have Chauncey Bowens and Nate Frazier in the backfield. And that's before we even talk about the other guys. You still have all those tight ends. You have an offensive line this deep. You have a defensive line this deep. And to add to that, there are new guys that we hadn't talked about, who are stepping up, stepping in. I thought, to me, some of the greatest moments of 2 years ago, KJ Bolden comes out as a true freshman, does his thing. Then last year, you have Dontrell Glover and Juan Gaston starting on the offensive line as true freshmen. And then you got big Helton out there today and Boko. And I'm like, Coach, let's give Kirby Smart all the credit, because he keeps reloading with fantastic players, and it looks like he's got another batch of them.
Let's talk about them. That's good. That's great. I can't wait to talk about these young players. And I'll give you my concerns too. I got a few concerns, but I'd like to see a back run for more than 5 yards once in a while, and make some big plays and not just run where the ball's blocked. I'd like to see some block, some missed tackles and some big plays out of our backs. I haven't seen that. We got to get better at that.
All right. Well, tell me about some of these young guys that you like, Coach. I don't even say young, just because some guys, you had better players ahead of them, and now all of a sudden it's their turn. So there are going to be some new names out there that, and that's not taking anything away from the older guys, but some of the guys that might have caught your attention or you've been thinking about.
Well, I like Stone on the defensive line. I just think he's going to be a force eventually. I don't know how much he can right now, but I really like him. I like Green in the secondary. I like the fact that we got these 2 safeties that I consider them new guys.
They are
really, 2 guys that really can, Riddle and Barnes. I think they'll really help our secondary. Plus the 2 guys that came in at corner give you more depth too, and they played big time football. So those guys and then that one linebacker, I hadn't been able to pronounce his name, is Truth or something like that. I really think Crew. I think he's a steal back there. It's gonna be hard to get on the field with the linebackers we got, but I just feel like that our defensive presence is going to be so much better as far as turnovers, field position, making the other team get behind, pressuring the quarterback, playing the ball in the air, tackling, just Georgia defense like all of us are used to. Glad to see Hall and Kyron Jones back. They're veteran guys that are just starving to play that really help us offensively. Well, I tell you, when I talked about it in January about Zakai Helton, but he's already made his presence there based on what they're talking about, starting at guard, and then this Oboko and his brother, who's a defensive lineman. But when you get 2 offensive linemen a year like we got Helton and like we got Dontrell Glover and Gaston last year, and now this guy and Zakai and Ogboko. He's a prominent player. He's about 6'5", over 300, got good length, really got good feet. He can win Dancing with the Stars, man. He got good feet, really got good attitude, and I'm happy about him. Then we got some freshman receivers that are going to step up. I really like Dandridge. I think he's going to do some good things for us. And then I like Canyon being a transfer, who's a new player too, who feels a bit built for Kobe out there at X. And then, we're going to probably have some other freshmen to step up. But, I like Joe Lamar in the backfield, good back, going to help us. And then you go on over there at quarterback. I really like Beaver down the stretch, but, long term. But the biggest surprise for me from last year to this year is Millender as a quarterback coach. This guy here, he's pressing it. He's doing some things out there. Montgomery's solid, and I really feel like Pugs has done better from what I've seen between last year and this year. Made some really good improvement. Tight end Protro, wow. we already know about Barbour from last year, but he's still a freshman. But Prothrow, ooh, baby. And then this kicker, pronounce his name, Zuka.
I want to look at it. I want to get it right. Haran, Haran, Zurikat.
Zurikat. This guy here.
Zureikat, Zurikat. But
Haran,
Haran.
But
hey, you better learn it because Peyton Woodring ain't going to be here forever.
Special teams guys that I've talked to are really excited about his potential. And we know what Peyton can do, and we know what Miller can do. And we got Snelling snapping the ball. So that's as many as I can remember right off the cuff. But I just feel like that's one thing every year. I just like to look at these new guys and project them and see how they're going to help us. But they're out there active survival, and the one thing, everybody's talking about, boy, how do they make it through the scrimmage with that heat and everything? Scrimmage is the easiest thing they do here at Georgia. Here's the reason. You only got 22 out there doing something for about 5 or 6 minutes, and the rest of them are on the sideline. Certainly they're getting hot and all, but regular practice, 2.5 hours, if you stop for 1 second, they know it, and they're going, really hard. So scrimmage, you don't have near as much problem with the heat as you do with regular practice.
You know who has it the worst during a scrimmage? The injured guys.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys end zone.
Yeah, they got to run the step. And I forgot to mention, too, I really like Cortez Smith at center. He's really a freshman and a very young guy. He's playing high school when he's 13 or 14 years old on the varsity. And he's really good guy. And he's got a lot of he and Tolliver both they're being real careful about Drew, and they should be, with his foot. And just offensive line, I love to have an offense that can run the ball when nobody, when everybody in the world thinks you can't run it. It's 4th and 1 or 3rd and 2. You got to be able to do it. So we're going to be able to do that with our tight ends, and there's always some people I leave out here, but
that's what we're going to show each week. So if we forgot anybody, and I kind of want to push you on it because that question came up. They're like, "Hey, coach, who are your newcomers?" And you said, "Let's get into scrimmage. Let's get into fall practice, and I'll start telling you, some of the young guys I want to see." Because we were asking you that in May and March and stuff like that before you even got a chance to see some of these guys. And so I do appreciate you. As frustrating as it is, then we all want the answer, Coach. Who's the next, standout? You waited until you got your reports in, and you've seen some guys. You've seen them on the hoof, and talk to people that and you can give us a good breakdown. Because there's a reason the NFL guys call you, and there's a reason the coaches call you, and use your eyes as a scout. If there's anybody that knows talent when they see it, it's Jim Donnan. I'm not trying to butter you up. I'm just saying.
No, I feel good about.
You can't play tennis like you used to, but you can spot a football player.
I don't go over there like, just to go over there and get in the way, but I like to go over occasionally. But without question, those two offensive linemen be able to be in that position at this point, and Stone being on the D line, and Green and the secondary, and Prothrow with the tight ends. I just think those are guys that are going to jump out pretty quick with you.
Yeah. All right. Let me hit a commercial real quick, and then we've got a lot of questions for you to go through. So I'm going to have to hit these up pretty fast. So
let's do it.
All right. Let me get this called up here. And then real quick, want to mention our friends over at Athens Ford. If you go through and read their reviews, and so a lot of places when you go to a review section, it's stuff from like 2019, 2020, where they first created the website. If you check out the Athens.Ford reviews, you'll see there's one from James C., 5 stars, 4 days ago. Jennifer S., 5 stars, 5 days ago. Kendra B., 5 stars, 5 days ago. Evan M., 5 stars from August 10th, the whole 8 days ago. Point being, their reviews are just constant, and it's just 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star over and over and over again. And that's why they keep winning the President's Award at Ford for having the best customer service. There's no question that you're going to have a fantastic experience when you go to Athens Ford. They have certified reviews. These are not just reviews from people that are, they're not sitting around the office and they're writing them themselves. These have to come from outside the system. So check out Athens Forward when you get the chance, and you'll be very glad that you did so. Also want to mention our friends over at Atlanta Dental Implants. If you need dental implants, please reach out to Skylar Holcomb. And I have him on the screen here, and I know he probably doesn't care for the spotlight, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is a guy from Warner Robins, so he understands heat. He understands what it's like. And he got his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Georgia, and he attended dental college in Georgia. Point being, this is a Georgia guy. So he's been to the University of Georgia. He sponsors a Georgia show. They even created some fake implants that had G logos on them. The guy's hilarious, fantastic at what he does. He's surrounded by a fantastic team, and you're going to be very happy if you go check out Atlanta Dental Implants, because they do an incredible job with fixing your entire mouth. It's not just, you can get 1 or 2 done. Like I'm going to get number 7 done. They will do the all on 4, so they can fix your entire mouth. Incredibly easy. The financing's fantastic. There's no hidden cost. And the first time you go there, you're actually going to meet Skylar Holcomb. It's not going to be, oh, well, you have to meet our physician's assistant before you can actually meet the doctor. And that, come back in 3 months to meet the doctor, which seems to be the MO for all doctor's visits now. You have to meet somebody else before you actually get to meet the person you need to see. So check out Skylar Holcomb. You'll be glad that you did so. Atlanta Dental Implants. All right. We do have a lot of questions in the comment section here, but I'm going to go to the ones on Facebook because that's where I asked first. So let me start there, Coach, and I'm going to hit you up with some of these.
All right, let's go rapid fire. Let's see how many we can get. What's the Guinness Book of Records for 40 minutes?
The first one from Sarah Fogel Owens. Shout out to freshman tight end Braden Fogel. Happy birthday. I'm wondering if maybe she knows him. So,
happy birthday.
Yeah, Matthew Meadows. Why don't they wear bones on the helmets anymore, Coach?
That used to be a deal that we started at Florida State when I was there. We used to put the hatchets on them and Ohio State used them, Buckeyes, and Georgia did it with Irk Russell, where they would, they'd make a play in you, offense or defense, and give you so many bones for each one. But I think just got away from decorating the helmets. They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I got you. This is a good question from Jimmy Berman. I think this is a tough one for me. Who will have the bigger overall impact on the offense, Ethan Barbour or Caden Prothrow?
It just depends on what we're doing. If Prothrow plays slot, he'll have a bigger influence because he'll be more, down the field, and Barbour will stay in and run underneath stuff. And, occasionally, he can break out on a wheel route, but they both are going to have a significant role on our team. And I just think Prothrow, being the kind of a hybrid guy that can move outside, will probably have a chance for more catches.
I think another question, how do we answer that? I mean, impact, if, Ethan Barbour makes the block that springs the guy, he doesn't show up in the stat book, but Caden, could have 6 touches or, 6 catches for, 85 yards. And we're like, oh, well, he had the better day, but I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah. You don't get credit for blocking enough. That's for sure.
That's true. Good question from Eric Henson, a big fan of the show. Coach, just how good is the secondary?
Just what?
Just how good is the Georgia secondary?
I think it's really good. It's just a question of what it's going to be. Dominant to me. When you got 2 corners that can play like Jones and Robinson, and you got the backups that have significant time, like the 2 guys that have come in here from USC and Oklahoma. The big question, and then you got a really good player like KJ being the center fielder back there. I just think really good potential, but we got to get Barnes and Dinkins and Kyron Jones and Riddle to come in there and give us, just solidify that. And if they play to their potential, a lot of difference between potential and performance. But if those guys mesh with the others and the front, it's going to be very difficult. for teams to throw the ball against us this year. But, we've got to eliminate what we talk about every week. Last year, the first down passing, we've got to do a lot better against that. When it's run or pass, we got to play the pass better. Our underneath coverage, our pass rush, our ball in the air stuff. But I just think we'll improve on that because we know that's the way people are going to attack us and maybe play more pass defense on first down. But I would say right now we're B plus, could be A plus.
Okay, but there you go. Real quick, your thoughts on Kyron Jones? Apparently, he had a good scrimmage. He's a big hitter. The guy missed the last 9 games of the year. We kind of, I don't say we stopped talking about him, but we didn't talk about him as much because of all the people they added through the portal. But what about Kyron Jones coming back?
Yeah, I was glad to hear that he's, first of all, that he was cleared. He really had significant injury. I don't know if he had a Liz Frank, but he had a very bad ankle or leg situation. I don't know how to classify those, but I do feel like having him back, he was really playing well at the end of the year last year, and then we lost him there. And then we had a game where Corey Thomas got called for, targeting. So all of a sudden you're playing with some really young guys back there. And I think Kyron brings a lot of speed, toughness, quickness. And, when you make a play like, they read about where the guy gets knocked down, then, people have a tendency to, there's a lot of times you get knocked down. But it's good to see him back out there, good to see Avery Hall back out there, and good to see Bobo back there. Those are 3 guys. And the other guy that I read about that you were talking about, Gabe Harris. I watched him a couple of times when I was over there earlier. Just having his presence and his, knowledge of the system and his maturity really helps those younger DNs like Haney or however you pronounce it. And I got to work on those guys. And then, certainly some other guys that Linton could help us there too. So, let's go ahead. What are we going to next here?
Chase Linton. Okay, I thought this was a very interesting question from Cole McCannon. Which assistant coach has the same energy of practice that Kirby has?
The same energy that Kirby has? Well, I mean, I don't know how to classify Kirby's energy. I think he's, because he has a microphone, maybe somebody thinks he's on Red Bull or something. But I just think all of our coaches are very, you watch a play and they all run to the position after the play's over, offense and defense. There's not any person out there that strikes me as being overly energetic. They're more realistic. And, I think it's good to be positive and all that, but to me, the less hollering and the more coaching goes on, the better you are.
I will say the one voice that cuts through for me when I'm walking past those guys, and yeah, they're all coaching them up. I mean, and you'll very seldom hear Trey Scott because all those big men banging around, but he's in there doing his thing. But the voice that I hear, and that's just not saying energy, the voice that carries is Todd Hartley's. No matter where I'm at, I hear him talking, and maybe it's just the timbre or pitch of his voice, but I'm not saying he has the same energy, but that's the one closest to having that microphone going. I think he kind of has that built-in microphone.
Here's what I always liked in a coach. I mean, you meet with them, you drill them, you work them hard and individual, but when you get into a team situation, he goes to the line of scrimmage, you got to let him play. I don't want any talking. I don't want to hear anything. Let the guy play. Then after the play, reinforce him or something like that. But I hate to see a quarterback coach on some of these things you see on these training these quarterbacks, and he's standing behind him and watch the safety, watch the corner, watch it right during the play. I mean, you don't have that in your head when you're playing quarterback. So don't talk. If you're a quarterback coach and you got a young kid, 13, 14 years old, and that's what he's doing in practice, tell him to give your money back because that's not football. I mean, don't do that. And so I think the less talking, the better during the teamwork.
I'm with you. Frank Bragg says, how deep is the defensive line?
On paper, it looks pretty deep to me. But, you can't be deep enough because all of a sudden you lose a guy like we did Hall last year, and then we lose. And I consider
on the outside.
I consider Gabe Harris a part of the D line. Anybody that's on the front, whether an end or outside backer or defensive tackle or nose guard, they're your front. So I feel very good about the guys that we got in the defensive front. McLeod, he's just solid, and we know what Elijah Griffin can do, and got a good Ogboto, 99. What's his name?
Joseph Jonah Ajonie.
We got a who's who of names. I wish I could say them better, but feel good about our defense. I'd say that's another B+, can be an A.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Josh Horton's put on weight. I'm looking at the list here. Jordan Hall, like you mentioned, he was back. You mentioned Valden Sohn from Sweden, and that big guy out there. Nasir Johnson's not one to overlook. And McLeod and Ogboko and Haney, all these guys you've mentioned on the show. It's like you said, on paper, it feels like, I don't say it's been a while, but it feels like it's been a while. So it's just perception. But
every time,
good question, Frank. I appreciate it.
Every time you bring up Sweden, I remember I played this guy from Davison College named Ole Jansson. I'm Ole Jansson. I come from Sweden, and found out he's on the Davis Cup team after I played him the first set. I beat the first set, and my trainer came up to me and said, our trainer on the team said, "Hey, this guy's on the Swedish Davis Cup team." I said, "Good Lord, what am I doing beating him?" And then lose the second set. And my coach comes over and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You kicked this guy's ass the first set. What's going on?" I said, "Well, he's on the Swedish Davis Cup team." I said,
"Got in your head."
And he said, "He was on a Swedish Davis Cup team the first set too, going back out." So I ended up beating him. That just goes to show you psychologically. My name is Ole Jansson. I come from Sweden.
Yeah. Hey, it's a middle game. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Brian Spears said
off on that Sweden there.
It's okay. I love it. Brian Spears said last year the defense didn't seem to have the pass rush of years past. Have we added key players for the pass rush and the centerpiece to stop the run?
We really didn't have it, and a lot of it was because, again, I don't know how much you watch our show, but because we had a tremendous amount of passing on first down by Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama in the first game, and consequently, it's hard to rush the passer on a running down. There's a chance of the team running the ball, and if you go all out and don't hit the guy, you can give up big plays in the running game when you're playing, extra people out of the box. So we played a lot more zone, a lot more man under and stuff like that on first down, and consequently, we didn't get the rush that you want. As the season progressed and we got more into where we were winning games and we were second and third down, we got a lot more pressure. So I feel like, to answer his question, I feel like our pressure is going to be better because of our interior taking on the blocks there, our Quintavious and Zero, coming off the edge there, Gabe Harris. And then our linebackers are really going to be good at run-throughs. Raylan Wilson really knows how to run through the A-gap and set his timing up. And we know what Chris Cole can do. And then you use Justin Williams in that Jaguar package where he can come off. So I would say that's going to be, to me, markedly better than last year.
Yeah, and I guess I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I think a starter in year 2, no matter how many years he's been here, versus a starter in year 1 is just night and day. And I expect that to matter with Gunnar Stockton. I expect that to matter with Gabe Harris and Quintavious Johnson a lot. So, and maybe, Justin Williams in this case. So maybe
the other thing,
but still, he played a lot last year. So,
other thing, it helps your defense. I feel like you're going to be playing from ahead a lot. Your offense is going to score more big plays. You're going to be the offense is going to possess the ball more with the running game, and the other team's going to be, not have the opportunity to be 50-50. They're going to be behind as far as run pass. And so we'll see more pressure just because the other team's trying to catch up.
That's a good point. You've talked about this one before, but I want to get the question in from Carson Rees. He says, are we holding our wide receivers accountable this year and getting the ball to them more than in previous years? He says, I know this is running back university, but that over-the-shoulder catch from Humphreys against Tennessee made me realize we don't toss the rock around as much anymore. I don't think Carson's going to be happy this year, Coach, if he wants to see the ball in the air more.
Well, he makes a good point on a certain extent, but we threw the ball more to our receivers than we did our tight ends last year. We've already talked about they only caught 47 or 43 balls, and then our backs caught a lot of dump balls because, first down, your quarterback's taught you don't have that first read, dump it off. But I feel good about Taylor and Humphreys going deep. I like Canyon in the intermediate zones, and then we'll see how these other guys go. But you should have some big-time plays on play action when you can run the ball. That's when you run some really good crossing routes and some good deep, what we call deep overs, across the field. So I'm encouraged by that, but I don't think we'll be anywhere near leading anywhere close to being up in stats on passing this year, just because our running game's going to be not because we got that great of backs. I think our backs are good, but our offensive line just going to be good enough for you could, all those backs are going to have a good chance with the way we block people.
Yeah, that brings up the question from David Wilder. He says, how good is the O-line?
I give the O-line,
Coach.
I give the O-line, if Bobo's healthy, I give the O-line an A because you got first-line guys, and then you got some pretty good people backing them up that had some good experience. I mean, you got guys like John Jackson, you got Weenie, you got Tolliver, Cortez Smith, you got Ogaboto, you got all those guys that can come in there after Green and Helton and Glover and Zakai and Juan Guest and all those guys are big-time offensive linemen. I mean, all five of our O-line, starting O-line to me, are capable of being all SEC. I just think every one of them's that good.
Yeah, since some of them, a couple of them have already been named second and third team preseason all SEC. So by the time this is over, it could be. And, I mean, you brought up Weenie last year. You brought up Calhoun. Georgia's second and third team offensive linemen are pretty damn good. So, yeah.
And they were forced into fire it when they really weren't ready last year, and they didn't come through as good as you hope. But, Jaw is kind of a project coming in here, but he's really has developed. I mean, he's not many guys. I mean, he's the biggest guy that's ever been in Bud Smear unless Shaq was over there anytime. He's just a big guy. I mean, really tall and really got good feet, and it's developed where he's in the competition to get a lot of playing time.
I love watching him on the special teams, like on field goals and PATs.
Exactly.
Out there on the end, and that you see that wide nine trying to come across, and he just barely moves.
He's even better in the middle where you jump up and stop the low kick.
Yeah, he's a wall of human being. This is from Bright Patriot. Says, Coach, even when you go to the rest home, we still want to hear what you have to say. So.
Hey, I'll do it. I heard a good joke about rest home the other day. This guy was giving a speech from City Hall to the people out there, talking to them about what's going on with their town. And this one lady up front just kept nodding her head, open back and forth. So finally, when it's over, he went up to her and said, "Hey, ma'am, do you know who I am?" She said, "No, but if you go up to the front, they'll tell you." So that's probably what I got. That's what I got to look forward to. And I'll do the show if you'll come out there and hook it up for me.
I will. Question here from Howard Eubanks: Who takes over Zach Branch's role?
Well, you got to hope Scovey White's going to do what he needs to do. I mean, he's certainly going to return the punts for him. He's very good at that. He's got good decision making. He got really good hands. He knows when to fair catch, and he's very quick on his first couple steps, which that's the number one thing on a punt. Avoid the first gunners down the field, and he's going to be good in the slot, and has got the ability to run in the open field. I think Prothro will probably jump in there and play some slot too, maybe on more of the down the field stuff. So I would say those two guys, and maybe one of the younger guys will step in there. A guy like Rodan, who's got some good ability too. I think he could step in there and be a slot too.
Okay. Along those same lines from Tatnall Dog, if the season started tomorrow, what wide receivers start the game?
Yeah, I would say we got starting at X would be Canyon. Scovey White would be Scovey White Helton? I don't know. Is that
Scovey White Helton?
He would be the slot, and Dandridge, Humphreys would be the Z. That's the way I would see it.
Okay, I think that's fair. Not trying to put you on the spot. Just
I love the spot. Put it on me.
Well, Miriam, who also said some nice things about you, who she said you don't need to be in a nursing home. She said you're
not yet, but last year I've had to take a big time reality pill. What's her name? Miriam?
Miriam Corbin. That's
nice of her to say, but I'm definitely, it's not this show for me to get a pity parlor, but I'm just glad to be out here and very thankful.
Yeah. She wants to know who's going to start at tight end, which normally we kind of it would be easy to go, oh, well, it's obvious. That's obvious, but
we don't really have
started last year. So
we don't have a starter at tight end, Miriam. We play so many different, what we call groupings, like regular personnel is one tight end, 11 personnel is one tight end, 12 is two tight ends, 13 is three. So the three that jump out right away, Lucky is a seasoned guy that's played a lot, and he knows what to do, just like all of them. And then you got Riddell, who's coming around and, very explosive. And then you can just keep on going on down, Barbour, and, Colton Heinrich. There's a lot of guys that can play, and we got some freshmen too. But those three would be, and then Prothro playing more a little bit at wide receiver. Those three would be interchangeable, could go in there and in and out pretty quick.
Yeah, I kind of laugh sometimes when we talk about like the starting at corner, starting at safety, star. It's like, oh, this guy didn't start the first game. Well, they weren't in the star package, and there wasn't a star out there, or there's only one tight end or two tight ends. It changes a lot depending on the package you go into.
From Miriam and all the people out there, regardless if you really have from your vocabulary of football, starting lineup is not near as salient as it used to be because there's so many packages. The defense runs plays where a guy's not really good running this defense, but another guy is, so they use him for those situations. The same thing on offense. Closer you get to the goal line, the more compact the formations are sometimes. So you get bigger guys in there, bigger backs. So, but within the framework of our offense and defense, there's about 18 to 20 guys that are going to be considered starters on both sides of the ball.
And sometimes when you get the list from UGA, there's more than 22 guys listed as starters. So,
yeah, I just want to jack around with you, Roddy. That's good.
It's kind of cracked me up. Another question from Howard Eubanks, Coach. Did they modify Gunner's throwing motion?
I don't know what. Certainly, that is a good question because it's been so talked about, the fact that he was a little bit slow on his mechanics as far as the windup, and I think everybody's got different ways to skin a cat. If you look at Josh Allen, 5 years ago, people said, "Man, what is he doing? He throws the ball sidearm." But the tendency is most quarterback coaches are getting more into the whip motion, where it's more of a three-quarter delivery than it is over the top. If you just watch all these guys, you watch Mahomes, you watch Justin Herbert. You watch him, you're seeing more of that 3-quarter delivery. And I think to a certain extent, Gunner's got a little bit of that. But, he's gotten a lot of coaching here in the offseason. I mean, he went down to that quarterback guy in what he called quarterback country down in Mobile, and he went to the Manning Passing Academy. So, but Gunner's going to be Gunner. He knows what he can do. And, there's a lot of ways to deliver the ball. And, one of the things I always tried to do coaching the quarterback after I got him in college is really don't try to modify much about their delivery because they've been throwing it for so long. Now, a younger guy starting about 10 or 11 years old, I would really give him that motion that I wanted. But one of the things you really want to do is how quick can he get rid of it? How much we used to do this, drill where both of them just hold the ball, and say, ready, and then the throw and see which one got the ball to the receiver 10 yards down the field the quickest. And it wasn't so much you'd think the guy with the most velocity, but it's really the best quickness getting rid of it. So that's a real good way to look at it too. But I would say to answer his question, it looks like it's a little bit more sidearm than it was.
Okay. Josh Skelton, also from the show, says, are we thinking that wide receiver Trey Shields is going to get some playing time this year? Maybe weeks 1 and 2, I'm assuming that Georgia gets ahead there. I'm just wondering if he has the capability of helping us.
Yeah, and I forgot when you said Josh, I want to mention Josh, the defensive tackle, because I really think Josh Horton's going to help us maturity-wise. He's had 1 year here. He knows what's expected. He's really played good but he's gotten his body bigger. So I forgot and excuse me for leaving him out. As far as Trey Shields, the unknown there, he's just got here, signed him late, but fortunately, we know what we're doing there and we know what it takes. And I'm sure he'll get a good look whether he's going to be ready. I think Jeremy Bell's another guy that's really a guy that when he gets out there to practice just makes, he's Bell's brother. He makes plays. He's not a big guy, but he could be used in the backfield or as a receiver. So a lot of different names there, but Shields got a chance, that's for sure.
Yeah, might be a steal there at the end. Let me find 2 different people have asked about this. Ohio Dog is asking about how do we feel about the punter? And Chris Green says, who can fill Brett Thorson's shoe? So a couple different people asking about punting, Coach. Right up your alley, special teams.
The only guy that could fill Thorne's shoes are me, because I was the only guy that even remotely punt the ball like he could. Seriously.
He's so full of crap.
That guy's once in a lifetime kicker. I haven't heard how he's doing up in Minnesota, but I got to think he's doing well. I like Miller. First day I saw him up there, he was kicking the ball up toward the light poles. And that's one of the things you like to do when you ride by a practice sometime, to just see how many balls are up there. And when the pre-practice, when you're seeing balls around the light poles, then you know guys have got what it takes, because I'm a lot more interested in height than I am depth.
Yeah.
Because you want quality coverage, and the longer punts are usually the ones that are returned. So I like Miller. He's no Thorson yet, but he's got good potential. And we mentioned that kid from Pittsburgh place kicking, so they've done well replacing those guys.
Yeah, just going through them. Barking Bad 2000. How much impact is Larry Knight having on the pass rush? That's a tough one.
Anytime you bring a new coach in, he got new ideas and new ways to do things compared, and plus he's got to work into the system, and he's starting behind the 8 ball because all these other guys know it inside and out and know the players, but he's got to build up an identity and a trust with the players and confidence in each other. I think the proof's in the pudding. We'll see once fall camp starts, but he's certainly got some guys to work with, and he's got a good background. He's at every place he's been, he's done pretty well. And I asked Rich Rodriguez about him. He was at West Virginia. He said, well, he's only here for about a month and a half, but I really liked him. And I trust what Rodriguez says.
Yep. Okay, we'll end with two questions here. Kind of a touch back on something you mentioned earlier. You said you give us the things you like the most and things your areas of concern. Josh Skelton with another question. What is your biggest concern with this team?
I don't want to make it sound like I'm the prophet of doom, but just
take your hand off the mic, Coach.
Just avoiding injury.
Avoiding injury. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
To me, is just play with our best players. If we can do that, that would be great. But, there's no way you're going to not have some injuries. But just for the players' sake would be that. And then number two is, can we create turnovers and continue to do a good job protecting the ball? Because usually speaking, that's a big deal, your turnover margin. So, and we're very good about penalties, so, discipline as far as not getting penalized a lot. So don't beat yourself would be the number one thing I would say after injuries.
Okay. And the flip side of that from Al Chandler, dog, says, Coach, what are you most happy with on this team over last year's team?
I would just say the consistency in the O-line and D-line for us, just quality depth. In case we do get somebody that goes down, I think it's not going to be the end of the world. It's certainly not good, but we got quality depth there. And then secondary, the addition of those four guys that I talked about in the portal, and also Green coming in there, stepping in. And I'm hoping that Fitzpatrick, Minka's brother, who had that injury, I'm hoping he's going to be cleared and can maybe play in, later on in the season, and you don't have to worry about being redshirted now that you got the 5 years. This guy's a heck of a player in high school.
Yeah. Hey, look at the pedigree. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for this week's show. I appreciate it. We got a ton of questions, but we're going to let those we'll hold the other ones over for later. All right, we will see you. Hopefully, we'll see you next Tuesday at noon. But again, it always depends on when Kirby wants to have his press conference. So if Kirby's not having it next Tuesday at noon, we'll join.
Want to give out my deepest condolences to my ex-player, Dax Langley, a great kicker for me, and one of Kirby's best friends lost his mother a couple of days ago. So our thoughts and prayers are with Dax. Yeah, Dax is one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. I wish I was still in touch with him. Just an absolute cool dude, one of the best. Our condolences, Dax, to you and your family. And we will see you, everybody, next week.